Hi, so this is the third video in our series this month on functionally based interventions. I'm Dr. Shepard, and today I'm talking to you about antecedent versus consequence interventions. So you may have heard of the terms antecedent versus consequence interventions, but really it's just prevention versus intervention. So antecedent interventions are things that we do preventatively before the behavior occurs to limit the probability of the undesired behavior occurring, and to increase the likelihood of that replacement behavior. Whereas consequent-based interventions are behaviors that occur reactively or after the behavior has occurred. So, do you need antecedent interventions? Do you need consequent interventions? Can you use one in isolation? The answer is you need both. So you need antecedent-based interventions. These are interventions that are going to be in place that prevent or reduce the likelihood of the behavior occurring. If you go back several series to our series that we did in June and July on parent interventions and teacher interventions, those are primarily on antecedent-based interventions. They have a lot of ideas about scheduling, timers, transition warnings, pre-teaching. All of those are antecedent interventions. So what are you doing ahead of time to reduce the likelihood that the behavior will ever occur? Consequent-based interventions, these are your reward interventions or your punishment interventions. So what are you doing to reward or reinforce, increase the likelihood that the behavior will occur again? And what are you doing to decrease the likelihood that the undesired behavior will happen again? And so when you're looking at this, there are common consequent interventions that we tend to do. We tend to focus more on punishment for consequent-based interventions. We tend to send kids home. We tend to send them to timeout. Those tend to be two of our most popular interventions. And I want to give a brief caution of using those interventions, or a brief caution to sending kids to the office. So you have to, like I've said several times, you have to think about what is the function of the behavior. So if the function of the behavior is escape and you send the child to timeout, is that really a punishment? Because if the child does not want to brush their teeth and they hit you and you say no hitting, go to timeout, did they get what they wanted? So if they didn't want to brush their teeth, they hit you, and you send them to timeout, it's working very well. If the child does not like school and math is hard and they're getting bullied and they yell, maybe they say some cuss words, maybe they tear up the room, you call the parents come to the school, and this child is sent home for the day because of their behavior, was that really a punishment? Now, you may feel that your hands are tied. Because what do? Do we leave the child at school when they're engaging in aggressive behavior? Do we stay there and let the child hit us while we're trying to brush teeth? The answer is, what is the function? So if the function is escape, the consequence cannot allow for escape. If the function is attention, the consequence cannot allow for attention. So if the child is yelling, saying mean things so that you will stop and say, honey, we don't say those things. These are the things that we need to say. And then you have a talk about nice things that you say. Did the child really, were you punishing, were you reprimanding, or were you inadvertently reinforcing? If the child is yelling and making a disruption in class and the function is attention and you send them to the principal's office, was that really a consequence? Because now they're getting one-on-one attention from the secretary while they wait for the principal and from the principal. And so when you look at consequent-based strategies, be very cautious that your consequent-based strategy is not inadvertently reinforcing your undesired behavior. So your consequent-based strategies, you want to look at, okay, if the function is behavior, we're blocking escape, and now we're rewarding. We're going to put into place a token economy. We're going to put into place a level system. We're going to put into place a response cost that's based on that function. So if the child is engaging in challenging behavior in order to access the iPad or to access a break, now we need to look at what is our replacement behavior and how can we reward based on that token economy or that level system engaging in the replacement behavior with a functionally equivalent reinforcer. So if you want iPad, every time you raise your hand and wait, you get 1 token. 10 tokens, that equals iPad. If the function of your behavior is to get video games at home and you're not getting homework done, every minute that they're doing their homework, that's 1 minute of video game time. And so then you're reinforcing completion of a task with access to video games or access to their preferred item, which is based on the function. So if they're sitting there, Mom, I need video games, I don't want to do this, I just want free time, I need a break, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, I can't do this today, I need video games, and they're crying, they're whining, they're negotiating. And you say, okay, you get 10 minutes of video games, but you have to do your homework as soon as those 10 minutes are up. Well, then your reward is set up to actually reinforce that crying, negotiation, and tantrum behavior. So, do you need consequent-based interventions? Yes. Just make sure that your consequent-based interventions are not inadvertently reinforcing your undesired behavior.